Would you open it if the banging wouldn't stop? Late after school, he heard pounding from locker 13. Bang, bang, bang. He leaned in. A voice whispered from inside. Let me out. The locker handle turned by itself. Would you stop if you saw a swing moving by itself? In the playground, one swing rocked back and forth. No wind, no one around. He turned to leave, but the swing slowed down, and a voice whispered, Push me. He whistled once. The echo whistled back, but slower. He called out, and the echo laughed. At the end of the tunnel, something was crawling toward him, upside down. Would you follow if your dog spoke in your voice? At night, he heard his dog barking outside. Then it barked again, but in his own voice. Let me in. The real dog growled behind him. And outside the window, something smiled with his face. He noticed a shadow in his room. But when he moved, the shadow didn't. It stood in the corner, taller than him. When he blinked, it was closer. One more blink. It was on his bed. He went to fill up his tank. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the guy at the next pump, facing him, not his car. Smiling, not blinking. When he looked away for a second, the stranger was suddenly inches from his window, whispering, Don't drive tonight. He checked into a cheap hotel. The clerk said, Don't look in room 6. At midnight, he heard knocking, coming from inside that room. Curiosity won. He peeked through the keyhole and saw a pale eye staring back.
So dude hits the ATM late night. He's trying to grab some quick cash. Screen glitches. Instead of numbers, it's literally showing him, like live cam from behind. Then a shadow walks up in the screen. He whips around. Nobody's there.
Bro checks into a cheap motel, walks past room 6, door cracked open. Inside, a toilet just staring at him. It whispers, We've been waiting. Camera zooms in, toilet blinks, and cuts to black. He hit the drive-thru late night. No cars, no workers. But the speaker crackled. Order when ready. He ordered. Bag slid out the window, with his name already written on it. But he never gave it.
Every night before bed, he placed a chair against his bedroom door, just in case. One night, he woke to the sound of wood scraping. The chair was moving, slowly away from the door, as if someone inside the room was pulling it back. Would you sleep if the hospital curtain moved? She lay in bed at midnight. The curtain rattled softly. When she pulled it back, an empty wheelchair faced her. She looked away, but when she looked back, the chair was beside her bed. At 6 a.m., her alarm rang. She groggily reached to turn it off 3, but saw her phone screen was shattered, covered in blood. The alarm kept ringing 3 from under her bed. Every night at midnight, the old clock in the hall chimed 13 times. She finally went to check it, but found the hands spinning wildly backward. When she turned around, every picture frame on the wall showed her with her eyes missing. Would you turn around if someone called your name in class? She stayed late after school. Papers shuffled behind her. Hey, a mysterious voice called out. She turned. Every desk had a student sitting, all staring at her with empty eyes.
Would you sleep if the hospital curtain moved? She lay in bed at midnight. The curtain rattled softly. When she pulled it back, an empty wheelchair faced her. She looked away, but when she looked back, the chair was beside her bed.
The phone rang. Caller ID showed Mom. She answered. I'm outside, her mother whispered, but her mom had been dead for 3 years. Would you look if someone knocked on your window? She was on the 10th floor. Tap, tap, tap. The curtain swayed from the wind. She peeked outside, a pale face pressed against the glass, smiling. Would you walk home if the streetlights went out one by one? He walked down the road. Each light blinked off behind him. Then the one ahead shut down too. In the pitch black, he heard footsteps matching his own. But when he ran, the footsteps ran faster. Would you open your closet if it whispered your name? She froze in bed. A soft voice hissed, "Come closer." Her closet door slowly creaked open. She stared into the darkness, and the whisper came again, but this time from right behind her. Would you climb if you heard footsteps in the attic? He lived alone. Every night he heard dragging footsteps above. Finally, he pulled the string and opened the attic. Dust fell as he climbed up. In the dark, he saw footprints, all leading straight to the ladder. Would you sleep in a room with this doll? It always sat on her sister's shelf. One night, she woke up, and it was sitting at the end of her bed. The doll tilted its head. Then the teddy bear whispered menacingly, "Too late." Would you sleep if the hotel TV turned on by itself? The old box TV flickered on at 2 a.m. Channel after channel showed the same thing, her sleeping in the bed. On the last channel, she saw herself open her eyes and smile at the camera. Would you open your eyes if the light kept flickering? At 2 a.m., she brushed her hair. The bathroom light buzzed and dimmed. Every time it flickered, her reflection got closer. Step by step, she shut her eyes tight. The buzzing stopped. When she opened them, her reflection was right behind her, smiling. Would you dare walk past your hallway mirror at night? He was thirsty at 3 a.m. The only light came from the mirror in the hallway. As he walked by, his reflection didn't move. It just stood there watching. He stepped closer. The reflection blinked first, then leaned forward, lips moving silently. Finally, it whispered, "Finally, alone." Would you ever keep a broken mirror in your room? She dropped hers by accident. 7 jagged shards scattered on the floor. She leaned down and froze. Each reflection moved differently. One was laughing, one turned its head on its own, and one raised a hand, knocking from inside the glass. The sound echoed in the room, but none of the reflections stopped smiling. Showering at 3 a.m., she heard knocking. Through the steam, the bathroom door creaked open, the atmosphere eerie. But her reflection in the foggy glass was still standing outside the door, the narrator said, horrified. He splashed water on his face. When he looked up, his reflection was still bent down. Slowly, it lifted its head, and dozens of pale hands pressed against the inside of the mirror, trying to get out. He caught the last train home. The carriage was empty, except for one man sitting at the far end, facing away. Every stop, the man moved closer, but never turned around. The protagonist looked around nervously. At the final station, the man sat just 1 seat away. The lights flickered 60 to 80, and the seat was empty. A whisper came from behind. "Wrong train. Would you sleep with your curtains open?" She always closed her curtains before bed. Tonight, she forgot. At 2 a.m., she rolled over and saw a pale face staring in through the window on the 2nd floor. She screamed, "Shut the curtains," but when she turned around, the same face was grinning from inside the room. At 3 a.m., her phone buzzed. A message appeared. "I'm outside your door," the narrator said with an eerie tone. She froze, heart racing. Slowly, she opened her front camera and saw the live feed of herself sleeping in bed. Her sleeping self suddenly turned and smiled at the viewer. "I see you," the whisper said hauntingly.